Hello everyone, welcome to Angie's Drama Room. I am your meeting host Angie, where I do drama reviews on all things drama, mostly focusing on Asian dramas. And today is a Chinese, I guess you can call it a relationship melodrama. I've been teasing this one for quite a bit from my last drama review. Anyway, before I go into this, I appreciate all the subscriptions I've gotten so far. If you have not already subscribed, please hit that subscription button and also that like button. And if you choose not to subscribe this time around, which I don't know why, just hit that like button and then anybody else can also see my reviews. All right, so let's go into this in between. So this one was kind of an interesting show. It was like a retrospect film noir satire with symbolism, and it was focusing mostly on a relationship melodrama. So it wasn't really something which you would have saw a romantic type of story. It was basically focusing on relationships itself. So in this particular case, for creativity itself, I would give it a B. Okay, because I can't really state. When it was mostly about the show itself and all overall show concept, and I would give it a B. It was because it was a different contrast when it came to the other Chinese dramas that we've been watching lately, and again, it's just focusing mainly on relationships. So it was about 3 female leads. Actually, they posted 2 leads and 1 supporting lead, which was Zhao Yutong. She was actually, now they switched it on the site to being supportive lead. But however, I still would state she was also part of the female lead. So we have the main lead though was Tang Ziwei, okay? And I'm not familiar with any of her shows before until now. I turned on to her. I think she's like a perky, cute type of ragdoll type of thing. Not necessarily she's a ragdoll, but it's just one of those cuddly dolls that you just like to watch. She's very cute, and that was kind of interesting because on the show itself, they were one of her things asking, "What do you think about me?" And basically, they thought she was cute, and she was like, "Well, am I pretty?" And so it's like, I guess you can say that she's pretty. Also, she is pretty. But I think in this particular instance, she was mostly cute, which was interesting. Then our second female lead would have been, Xing Min Zhu. I know I'm pronouncing these names wrong. Forgive me. But however, she was pinned as the second female lead. And as I was saying, with Zhang Yutong, they have her pinned as supporting, but however, I still would put her in as lead, maybe like the 3rd female lead. Maybe, I guess there's no 3rd female lead. Maybe there's just a supporting, who knows? But anyway, so it was about, again, relationship. So let's go with our first female lead. Her name was Nan on the show itself. So it was about, she has 4 prospects of relationship. She was already in a relationship. He was over, I think he was in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken. He was in another country or another place, if I'm not mistaken. And he was, and they've been together for 7 or 10 years. But they had this long distance relationship. So he had money. So he was just basically buying her affection just to keep her, just to buy her affection. And she was taking it. She just thought she was in a relationship. She wasn't like a money grabber, but however, she just thought they were in a relationship, and this is how you do it when you're in a relationship, especially if you're in a long distance relationship. In comes another suitor. Now, this is where I was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is the other suitor. He was Zin Yu Lei, okay? Which I would just use his character name, which is Ping or Yi Ping. And when I first saw it, I was literally, they made him, the character itself, not the actor, but the character itself, a total jerk. That's the reason why I say that this was basically taking a lot of relationships on the far end of a bad relationship. And this one, he was a total jerk. I'm not gonna cuss. If you really want to know, he was basically, he was a total jerk. And it kind of made me upset as I was watching. I was like, who is this guy and why are you doing this? And basically what he was doing was he was trolling, or he was trying to get in a relationship with Nan, because he thought she was the one who had money and not her boyfriend, who was giving her these luxury items, purses and things like that. And plus she owned her own apartment, her own place that actually her parents bought for her. So he thought she was the one who has money, and the only reason why he was going towards her was because of that reason. And in the meantime, he was still living with Zhao Yutang, which was Han Su. That's her character name. So he was living with her, and they were living together, and they really didn't have at this point of stage in their life, they really wasn't at that point where they felt that the relationship was about ready to go downhill. Living with her, he was trying to get into a relationship with Nan. They lived I think they worked in either the same building or what have you. A co-worker of Ping said she had money, and she always had a ride that comes pick her up. He thought it was talking about Nan and not another co-worker of Nan's. And so that's the reason why he started the relationship. He made himself present at every place he went. He made himself present, made himself known. And the weird thing about this thing, they lived on the same floor down the hall. So when he comes out of his door, he can see her door. And she didn't know about it. And so he didn't know, I guess he knew who she was based on that. However, it was only until he found out that she may have money. It just so happens they lived on the same floor. He never disclosed that. He just pretended that he lived somewhere else. And this is really why he was a super jerk. So only reason why he's doing this, because he had financial woes when it came to his family. And his family was laborers. So I'm not quite sure. I think he owned, the father was a farmer or something, dealing with tilling the ground, as you would say. And so his appearance, the work that he's around, he had a certain odor to it. The father had a certain odor. So whenever somebody wanted to get into a relationship with him, one time the father showed up, was picking his son up, and when the father walked by a suitor for Ping, she turned her nose up, which is natural. People will do that when they thinking, you're smelling something, but she didn't mean nothing by it. However, by Ping seeing that, he thought she was looking down on him. No matter what you say, even though he became a lawyer and he did have money, a little bit of money that can supply whatever needs that he needed at the time, no matter what, you can dress a person up, but they still will feel that same hometown feel that people are always looking down on you, based on your family. He started to pursue our Nan because she thought he had money, so that way he can basically live off of her, and that way he can still save his money in order to help his family. That was his logic, and that's the reason why he did it. And so I think the reason why he stayed with Han Su, which was Zhang Yutang, was basically to share the expenses. So when Han Su, when she had an opportunity to go to Hong Kong for a career advancement, she never told him about it. And again, all this process, he was trying to go after Nan all this time while he was living So he was basically living a double relationship life, basically. And came to a point where I think it was Hansu's birthday, and he wanted to buy her some shoes. I mean, basically just keep her string her along because he doesn't know how this relationship is going to go. He knew about the Hong Kong, but she never told him, but he knew about the Hong Kong, but basically kept this just to string her along just to see how it was going to go. So he was going to buy her some shoes. He didn't have enough money for it. In the meantime, he gets a phone call from his family. Family needed money. Hansu overheard it. She said, you know what, that's okay. You didn't have to buy me these shoes. And so then when Nan found out that Ping was in a relationship with somebody else, she blocked him on all things, WeChat, phone, and ever. She blocked him on everything. So when he found out that he was being blocked, he immediately went and tried to get money in order to get these shoes for her, because now he's blocked on this end. So now he can't let go of his other breadwinner here. So that's kind of what he was doing. Until finally, when she did disclose that she was going to Hong Kong, then that's when he was like, well, who's going to split the bill? And so she thought she was in a relationship with this guy, and come to find out, he didn't care about the relationship. He just wanted somebody to do the expenses. And then all of a sudden, he up and leave. Okay, so you're going to get spoilers when I'm talking about this because it's kind of hard not to for me. It's over with. If you want to go watch it, you can watch it. You're going to get spoilers on here. Next thing you know, he up and leaves her. And Nan does not know what happened, don't know why he left. And so she goes on with her life. Hansu goes to Hong Kong. Okay, and again, Ying Ping Nan didn't even know they were on the same floor, lived together. And even to the point where Ying Ping, to hide the fact, he got the janitor, the custodian who was in charge of his complex, fired. And in order to hide the fact that he lived there. So that way it wouldn't, by chance happenings, they run into each other. And then he tried to make it up by giving her some clothes. I'm like, dude. That's how he was. I mean, he was just playing this long game forever and hoping that he could get in this relationship. She was still dating him until she was like, the relationship with her on her boyfriend was already ended. And she sent an email saying she wanted to end this relationship, but instead he sends her another box of shoes or some type of gift items or something like that. And then he ends up appearing while all this was going on. The boyfriend does end up coming to mainland China, and in order to find her and make up with her, because basically, and the only reason why he did it really because his parents wants him to take over the business for a while, because they needed somebody to take over the business. Something happened, they needed him to take over business, so he ran away from home. And he comes over here trying to beg for her, and she's been trying to get him back in China for a long time, but he never wanted to come back. He wanted to just do his own thing and just basically string her along by giving her gifts and stuff like that. And she just felt like he wasn't really interested in her. In the meantime, which was really weird, and it starts from the beginning, she always talks to her alternative self. So there's always going to be somebody next to her alternative self. So she always wears her hair shaggy, up and up, but her alternative self always had more of a mature look, straighter hair. And so she's always talking to it. So, and it's actually appearing on screen. So that was kind of an interesting look at it too. But again, so the boyfriend comes back, and she didn't necessarily state that they broke up. But however, Ying Ping found out the boyfriend came back, of course, because they live on the same floor. So he didn't want to lose his cash cow, as you would say, right? So he manipulated the situation and basically seduced her even more. She confessed that she did have a boyfriend. He was leaving, and he kind of seduced her and made a lot more advances towards her, more aggressive advances. Nothing wrong, but however, just a little bit more aggressive advances towards her in order to seal the deal that, hey, you're mine. So that's because, again, that was all because he thought she had money. When he found out that it wasn't her that had money, that's the reason why he left. And without ghosted her, basically. He ghosted her. Now we have, so we had Guang Ping, which was her actual boyfriend for 17 years. Ying Ping, which was a suitor. Then we had it when she said, I give up on everybody. She had a best friend. They all went to drinks. I give up everybody. Then we had this musician come in. And I thought the musician was going to be a replacement. This is going to be our happy ending. Wrong. So again, that was the third suitor that didn't work out. Okay. So then we have a fourth suitor. Yes, there's a fourth suitor. And the fourth suitor he owned a anime type of business. He tried to get an animation business going using these dolls he created. This business was going on the downfall real fast. And the only reason why she approached this fourth suitor is because she thought it was somebody, an online troll or something. I don't know. I kind of can't remember what was going on. I don't know where this point came to. That's how the fourth suitor came about. And so I'm going to hold off on that for now. So now we got our second female lead, which was Xingming Zhu, which was Suhan or Sunhan. They're kind of using a lot of the same names here. But anyway, she was what we call a very beautiful, possibly exotic woman. And so she was the pretty one, the very beautiful one. And so she kind of got into a relationship with a semi-married man, which she wasn't that type. She wasn't a mistress type, but however, that's how you would have pinned her as being, as the character being the mistress type. And so she worked for the wife of this suitor. And they did get divorced, and he presented her with the divorce documents or booklet. But really it was a fake divorce. Supposedly the only reason why they were getting divorced was because of a apartment or some type of housing. I don't know. I am not quite sure why they got a divorce for that. Who knows? But they were still living together. But that's the reason why. So he was actually using the divorce as a step to try to get Suhan in, reel her in. And she fell for it. But he told her that he couldn't leave just yet until everything was solidified. And so, and this is really weird, which I don't understand. Basically, which the suitor's name was Zhao Bin. His mom, technically it was probably considered his mother, but anyway, his wife or estranged wife held the purse. She held the bag. She had all the money. Everything was in her name. Everything was hers. Money, cars, house. Even he was a lawyer. Even his law business was hers. He was just working there. And that kind of doesn't make sense to me. I mean, she owned everything. He really didn't have a name recognition. His wife was the name recognition. Basically, his wife was in marketing. And that's what Suhan or Han or Suhan, that was what her job was, marketing. And that kind of didn't make sense to me. So he was sponging off his wife. And of course, that's the reason why he really didn't want to leave her, because she held the purse. And if they did really get divorced for real, then of course, he wouldn't get anything. So eventually it was a very tug and pull back and forth with that relationship between Suhan Han and Zhao Bin. Okay. So I'm going to hold pause on that. Now let's go over to Han Su, which was Zhao Yutang. She's in Hong Kong now. She's trying to advance her career in Hong Kong. Now we have Guo Ping, who was in Hong Kong trying to take over business. They meet because again, all of these, they didn't know each other. They still didn't know all three of them had some form of connection. They didn't know that. So Hansu basically was trying to be a lawyer because they were trying to get an IPO going, and they wanted to be the lawyer. So this was been her big high-profile contract. Now, because they knew each other in this type of relationship, then but however, she just wanted to focus on business. I think Guaoping found out that Nan was in a relationship because of a Weibo post that Yingping put on, showing their relationship. And of course, he tagged people that was around Guaoping that he knew. And so that's how Guaoping found out that she was probably in another relationship and he didn't know about it. Yingping ghosted her. And now she's holding the bag of relationship, and Guaoping thinks that she was still in a relationship. So then Nan quit her job. Yeah, she quit her job. Goes to Hong Kong thinking that she can spend time with him in Hong Kong. However, now she's fighting to get her relationship back. And Hansu found out about the whole relationship too because of this whole Weibo post. And it came to a point was, well, do you want me to leave? Because now she's in Hong Kong and he kind of avoiding her while she's there, and because he's never around or anything, like he's never around. So now she's like, well, do you want me to be here? And he didn't really say anything. So she took it upon herself, and now she went back to China. And again, that triangle, everybody knew each other. So in the meantime, while Nan was in Hong Kong, Su Han had to go to Hong Kong, I believe, for business. So she goes to Hong Kong. Then all of a sudden now we have all three of our female leads all in the same room. They find out all three of them does have connections. And Han Su's connection with Su Han was because her boyfriend, which is Zon Bin, it was the wife is the cousin of Han Su. Okay. And so now, Su Han was spilling all her beans about this relationship. All three of them were talking about this relationship. And Han Su was like, this is the woman that's the mistress to my cousin's husband. So that's how that's how everybody knew everybody. You know, this is a whole circle. Everybody knew everybody. And so now everybody was kind of more holding on to each other and trying to be comforting to each other, because they find out that they're just women who are jilted by love in some form or way. Now, Su Han actually had another suitor, but because of Zhao Bin put his little 2 cents in, how that she's all she is really is just my mistress. So that suitor went away. I mean, I wish they would have had it where he would have came back at the end or something, but however, it didn't work like that. So then now we have it where Nan, her fourth suitor, it was basically a business partner at this point. The guy ended up selling the business, gave her money, and she's crying because he sold the business, and that she thought this was her way out of doing something that she liked. The fourth suitor, he was trying to make this business go for the past 10 years. She comes in a month and trying to make him keep the business going. And then in the meantime, while this was going on, Yingping shows back up. The second suitor who ghosted her, he shows back up. Her colleague who actually had the money. So what happened was Yingping found out about, it wasn't Nan that had the money, but her colleague that had the money. The colleague quit and went to some beach. And so when Yingping found out about it, he booked a flight there. Was it Cairo? Something. Booked a flight there in order to pursue her there. Yingping and the colleague were in the car and said, if you don't tell me everything right now, or do you want to wait until my parents finds out and tells me the information? So pick it. So that's how that all wraps up. That's how we do it. Nan does end up getting into a relationship with the business owner of the doll shop or the anime shop. That was her relationship. Soo Han ends up going to somewhere to start a business to start the business in that whatever country they sent her to. And then Han Soo, and with no relationship, she goes overseas to further her career, because if you go overseas to study, that's how you further your career. I know this video was kind of long. I know that because it was a lot, especially when you're dealing with 3 females with all this relationship stuff. So I might be splicing a lot. So you guys might see a lot of jump cuts here because that was a long thing. Again, then after all this, and almost like towards the end of every episode, you'll get this satire-esque play, stage play type of thing, which involves symbolisms, retrospects on relationships. So like, it's interesting. So it's a stage, and at the end they wrap it up by doing some type of satire when it comes to how the relationship was going. Like they were playing, like she was playing for a job, and they make it seem like it was applying for a relationship, but using a job as the whole backdrop. The stage performance, it was interesting, and it got too much. But then they started putting it in the middle so you couldn't bypass it. So that was also in there too. So outside her having her alter ego, the mature self, which in the end she ended up merging her alter ego to herself, so she got a little bit mature. And then you had the stage play, then you had the symbolisms that had showed up every once in a while, this thing. So again, that's the reason why I say it gave it a B for creativity, but relationships, it was a creativity when it came to the whole contrast with the relationship. But other than that, it was a lot going on in this show. Tell me what you think. Let's open up a discussion. Thank you for joining me and listening to my whole thing on In Between, the Chinese relationship melodrama In Between. If you have not already, again, hit the subscribe button. If you lasted until this point, I appreciate it. Thank you. Hit that like button, and that way other people can also see my review. Thank you for joining me. Media adjourned.